Everyone, I hope it's been a wonderful Monday because believe me, sun was shining. I swear it was about 28 or something like
Yeah,
that. I
28
was
today.
I was sweating, man. Trust me, it was a hot day, and it's September. Hello,
Yeah.
that's only done in the Caribbean. But you know what? Tonight we have a gentleman who is an educator. Yeah, it's very rare that we get educators, right? And we have had so much luck in terms of having the right people to educate us. So, I would say to you that in terms of your business development and the managing of your growth of your business and knowing
Mm.
exactly where to go, where to get the information, we have someone who's been doing it for over 10 years. And so he's providing local, and national training for people. So we're quite pleased to have him here with us, Mr. Asari St. Hill, and he's an action coach. And
Yeah, go on, introduce you to
let's
him now.
introduce you. Yeah,
Okay, come on in, sorry.
welcome, welcome, welcome,
Welcome.
brother. How
Hey,
are
good
you?
evening. Good evening to everyone. It's good to be here. Glad to be here.
Excellent. Lovely to have you with us.
It's wonderful. You know what? It's when we spoken, we have spoken in the past about doing something together. And it's taken us a bit of time to actually get to this point.
Yeah.
But you know what? Not before it's time.
Yeah, indeed.
Not before it's time. So, Asari, can I ask you, who are you and what you about? What are you about?
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for having me here. It's an absolute pleasure to be here and to be able to speak to business owners or people who might want to open a business. So basically, for the last 10 years, literally, I just got my chairman's, what do you call it? I forgot what you actually call it. Chairman's Club.
Award.
My chairman's club for being 10 years an action coach, because 10 years ago I was waiting to jump over to Vegas to do my training for 2 weeks at Action Coach HQ. HQ is still in Vegas today, but nowadays you can do the training in the UK. So I did it in Vegas. Now people do it in Sheffield. It's quite similar, really.
You could have saved a bit. The bright lights could be the same though.
So it's not quite as glamorous as it might seem, because you're 2 weeks in a hotel. The training is like 6:30 in the morning. You go and do your volleyball, and then you learn loads of lessons through the volleyball, because the volleyball is not just exercise, it's actually learning lessons about competition, working with other people and all that. Then you finish the volleyball. And if you know anything about Vegas, I went November, December, it's cold in the morning.
Really?
So luckily I checked it before I left, so I had my tracksuit bottoms, otherwise it'd be freezing.
And
so also, that's called preparation.
Yeah, and also it's a gravel court. So if you're going to be thinking you're going to be diving around in your shorts, you'll be grazed up. So it's not going to work.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it. So you're back in your room, quick shower, back down for breakfast. Then you're in the room by 9. After 9, or I think it was 9, or was it 8? I can't remember. But anyway, early in the morning, and then you're there till 10. So you have your lunches and your food and everything every day. It's a long training. Absolutely fantastic and mind-blowing. It's the best business training I've ever had. And I have an MBA. I have a master's in business administration, which I did at Aston Business School. I graduated in 2008. And that 3 years I spent doing that was good. I enjoyed it, but it's nothing compared to the 2 weeks I did with Action Coach. And the last 10 years, I've been doing all this training and learning and seminars and webinars and stuff like that. So I've just spent the last 10 years working with business owners, mostly micro and small business owners, anything from startups all the way through to multi-million-pound companies. I've helped a number of people get to their million-plus mark and multi-million-pound mark. And it's a great journey to be working with business owners where you can help transform their lives, where they tell you, oh, I'm buying my new house now, or I'm buying a new car, or I can take my family on holiday, or I can take time out. Even a business owner saying something as simple as, guess what I did today? And I asked them what they did, and they said, I took my wife to Selfridges, and we just took time out the business, and we bought a few things and just came back home. Because some people are really imprisoned in their business. This is one of the things I want to share this evening, is about how many people are imprisoned in their business, where you think you're in business, but actually you're self-employed and in a trap where you can't even go on holiday, you can't take time out or anything. Because at least if you work for somebody, you're entitled to your holidays.
Yeah.
And when you take holiday, you don't have to worry about the company. You can just take your holiday, chill out, don't worry about it. It's not your problem. And you still get paid.
Yeah.
But when you're self-employed, of course, if you take even one day off, that day could cost you money, as well as you got to pay for wherever you're going. So it's a double hit. So even taking a week off is a problem for some people.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't actually recognize that, in business, when you start your own business, you don't have no time off, and your day is not 9 to 5 and you switch off, as you rightly say. Your day is probably 20 hours out of that 24. So and then you got to wake up in the morning to start again. Lord help you if you've got a shop in which you have to go down to Billingsgate Market.
Well, that's the other, of course, Then you could be up at 4 o'clock or something like that. So it's going to be a rough all day, and until you can build a business that can work without you. And I'm going to talk to you about that today.
Oh yeah,
cool. All right, because that's the important thing. One of the things is also that a lot of people in the business they look at as just being the one shop, and so I can control that. I can spend the time on doing that, and the time I can make that work for me. And they don't want to go to the next level, is to buy the shop next door and the one next door, because that commitment is very hard. And if you don't have the right kind of training and mental fortitude, to make sure you've got that right direction, things will not happen as frequently as you think they should. So, the next thing is, let's talk about those areas, because we need to actually establish how do we manage growth and develop our business to start managing growth. We always talk about we've got business, but we don't talk about the development of that business and develop the growth. So I would ask you, where do we go in terms of starting to develop that business into more than just the one business?
Yes, brilliant question. And the thing is, one of the things is it starts with mindset. You see, you can teach anything, but if you don't have the right mindset, it's really difficult. Because if you don't have the mindset, for example, I can teach you how to do Aikido. I do Aikido, for example. But if you don't have the right mindset to do the work, the extra training, the practicing, nothing I'm telling you is going to work. So one of the first things we look at is the mindset, vision, mission stuff. So we say, well, what is it you really want? What do you really want? Now, most people, when you ask them what they really want, they want financial freedom. They talk about, they want the opportunity to do the things they want to do with the money and the time to do it. So therefore, to do that, a couple of things need to be true. One, you need to earn enough profit after tax and everything else to be able to pay yourself enough money.
Just one moment. You made a particular profit. You actually said it in a different way, as in, when you got to make profit. You actually stipulated profit. Why? What's that?
Yeah, it's very important, because the thing is with business, they say that revenue is all about vanity, and profit is sanity. So it's a concept where I've worked with business owners who can turn over millions, but the actual money in their pocket, what we call wallet share. We use the term wallet share. What's your wallet share? Because what's in your wallet and you can actually spend is really the true profit in a business. So even if you say, I make 1 million after $500,000 after tax, after net profit, but what we really want to know is, what is the bottom line? What can you actually take home? When you pay your VAT bill, you pay your staff, you paid everything, and you've paid all your taxes, what can you actually take home? And that is really what the true profit of a business is. So you can be profitable as a business and make £1. So it's really what you're taking home on a monthly salary. What can you actually pay yourself at the end of the year, etc. That's the true profit in a business, and that's why it's so important. So usually, I've hardly ever met anybody. I think maybe there's exceptional people who run a business, but usually they're already successful. People who don't worry about profits, because they're in a different league to most people. So if you've already successful, you've got your house paid for, you've made good money, and you're comfortable, then you can go into ventures that are not money making for years, but you think one day your son or your daughter will inherit it and it will be a long-term plan. But that's not most people's reality. Most people's reality, they haven't got some rich uncle or rich parents that can give them a business that is already kind of a going concern. So usually you've got to build it and make it what it is. So to make it profitable is the first level, because if you're not making at least what you were earning in your job, why bother? And I'm not saying from day one, you might be willing to take, for it to build up over time. But seriously, if it's not making minimum wage, or it's not making what you were earning before, the chances are, as you rightfully said, you're probably going to put in more hours than you had in your job. Because even if you did exactly the same job, you still got the additional aspects. So let's break this down. So say you're a plumber and you work for the council, or you work for a local plumber up the road. They'll give you a van, and they'll probably give you some tools, and they'll give you leads. They have to generate some leads for you to go, or not even leads, sorry, they have to generate the customers for you to go and do the job. So every day you drive into the depot, or you drive into your boss, and they say, here's a sheet of the customers you need to see today. And you drive off and you go and do the jobs. Yeah. Now, when you own your own business, you can't just drive in at 8 o'clock, get your list, and go and do your jobs, because who got the jobs? And also, who bought the van? So you need to get your own van, you need to get your own tools, and you need to have some kind of marketing machine to get these appointments. So who's making the appointments? Who's booked them, and what mechanism is there to book it? Is somebody else booking it? Are you booking it? And then when you're doing a plumbing job, if somebody rings you at 9:30 in the morning and says, look, I've got a water leak, or I've got some job, what do you stop doing what you're doing, answer the phone, or is somebody else going to answer the phone? How does it all work? And even if you say to them, right, I'm answering the phone, but I'm under a sink at the moment, can I ring you back in a little while? They might say, oh yeah, but I need a plumber like urgently. Can you do it or not? And all these kind of things that you take for granted when you're working for an operation that has a system where the calls are monitored, the jobs are booked, and they organize it all for you. You got your tools, and also who pays for your van insurance? Exactly. Who pays for the insurance? If you flood somebody's house by accident, you got to have insurance for all that. So that's all you have to cover, all that. So there's a lot of costs when you have your own business that you don't really need to worry about when you work for somebody else. So that's where we say you start with that in mind, that what type of business do you want to build and why.
So in essence, then, in saying that, a lot of people are actually on the business of, oh, I want to build a business, I want to do this, I want to get, and I want to go somewhere with what I'm building. But end of the day, they haven't really thought about the mechanics of what they're actually trying to process or deliver. And so someone like you, who is there as a coach, is that where you come in and show people which way to
Absolutely.
go? Yeah.
The first thing we start with is what we call mastery level. We have a structure called the 6 steps, and on step 1 we have something called mastering the basics. And there's 4 key areas to that. There's destination mastery, which is saying where you want to go, vision, mission, have you got a business plan, etc. Then we talk about time. How do you manage your time, productivity? Then we talk about something called delivery, which is consistency of how do you deliver. And then the last one is money management, but I like to call it number mastery, because it's not just about the finance, it's also about the numbers in the business, which is what we call key performance indicators. So when we start with the first one is we say, well, what do you want? And you see very few people say, I want to be broke. Well, sorry, nobody says I want to be broke running this business, right? Everybody says they want to earn what they were earning before or more. And the assumption when you're in business, unless you're not being honest, the assumption in business is you're going to earn more than what you were earning when you were working for yourself, unless it's a lifestyle business. You're in later years, you got your pension, or you've got some other income coming in, like got a second property, or you've paid your mortgage off. And you know what? I don't want to work in the city anymore. It's too much stress. I just want to open a little coffee shop around the corner and just work my little hours. That's a lifestyle business. Or I just want to do a little utility warehouse or a little business on the side. That's different. But most people, it's not a little side thing. It's an income, right? So to do that income, the first thing is, what's your goal? What's your goal? And what I mean by that is, what's your goal beyond the business? Because you didn't set up a business to just have a business. You set up a business because you either wanted a house, or you wanted to rent a better place, or you wanted to buy a second property, or you want to do something for your family, a legacy. There's some deeper, some deeper reason why you started a business. Maybe you wanted to have more control over your life. Maybe you wanted to spend more time with the family. You wanted to be more flexible. Whatever it is, there's usually a reason why you started a business. Could be you could have been made redundant, and you could have had a bit of money, and you decided, you know what, I don't want to be redundant again, or I can't find a job. Let me try and do something. But there's always something that motivates you. And that's the first thing we need to tap into, so we understand that. And only then we can understand, well, what business do you need to build to create that lifestyle that you said that you wanted? And that's what one of the problem areas, because if you don't have that defined, then when you get into business, you just want to earn money. It's not really that clear. And what a lot of people don't factor in is the costs. So you think, if I can earn 2,500 a month, this is what people think, right? If I can earn 2,500 a month, I can replace my income. But the problem with that is that when you earn 2,500, that was take home pay, say.
Yeah.
But when you earn 2,500 as a business, what is your take home? Your take home pay may be £500. It could be £1,000, but it's not going to be the 2.5. You've got to pay national insurance. You've got to pay your taxes. You've got to pay. You might have to pay for a vehicle. You might have to pay some overheads, mobile phone, etc., etc. You weren't thinking about all that. Yeah, when you were getting your salary, you didn't have to worry about van insurance, petrol. You didn't have to worry about any of those things. But once you run your own van, then you have to. There's all those expenses are yours. Yeah, you can claim the expenses back, but even though you can claim it back, you still got to have the money to pay it in the first place. So if your expenses are now £1,000 a month, then you're only going to actually earn $1,500. So then after that $1,500, you still got tax on that. So you might actually be taking home, say, $1,200. So you're kind of halfway.
Or whatever. So
you're halfway to where you wanted to be. So you want to earn 2.5. You earn 2.5, but then you're wondering, how is it at the end of the month I never have any money? Because you're not earning, or you delude yourself and keep it. And of course, at the end of the year, when the tax man says you now owe me £7,000 or whatever, you're thinking, oh, I never put any money aside. So where am I getting this £10,000 or 7,000, whatever from? So now you're in a pickle.
So now that you've totally scared me, how do you help those people in wanting to transition from that position of thinking I want to have a business to actually committing to the business and knowing what they need to do to maintain that business?
Yeah. So the first thing, as I said, once I understand that and I understand where you're at, I'll say, okay. So without necessarily getting too personal, I'll just say a simple thing. How much does this business need to be earning for you in your wallet? Forget about tax for a minute and all that, but just how much would you need to be earning in your wallet for you to give up work? Right. So that gives me some idea. And then I say to them, okay, so if they're making an assumption that this is going to be a side business until it's full time, how much money do you need to earn to make it worth you, say, taking one day off or reducing your hours or going part time or something like that? Because there has to be this transition, isn't it? It's going to take a while to build up to 2,500 or whatever money you want to achieve. You might have to work. So we want to just give me an idea. Then that tells me something. Then I can work out with most people relatively simply. We can work out either with a calculator or off our heads, roughly what is your profit of whatever it is you sell, whether it's a service. If it's a service, then usually there's not much costs unless you have an office and all that sort of thing. And if you sell products, then we say, well, what is your margin? And some people go, well, I don't know what my margin is. Then you just say, right, okay, so if you spent £100 on products, what would you get? What would you sell it for? And then we understand, right, if I bought £100 worth of products, I'll sell it for £200. Okay, so your margin is 100%. You make 100% profit on that, right? So then we know for you to earn 2.5, you have to sell £5,000 worth of products to make 2,500. This is without tax and all that at the moment. We can get into that afterwards. But that just gives me a sense of roughly what we're talking about in terms of numbers. So now another business might be a plumber where they say, look, I have hardly any costs, Asari. I just have a little bit of van cost, but I've got an old van that I've been using for years. It hardly costs me anything. I just need to put petrol in it and insurance and I'm good to go. So that might only be costing you a couple $100 a month. And I've got my tools already because I had my tools before. So I've got my tools. So I don't really have much costs. And I've got a little website that my friend did for me. And, I just do word of mouth. So you might not have much cost, right? So every job you do is virtually pure profit in your pocket because you charge 50 quid, 200 quid, whatever for the plumbing job. You put that in your pocket and you can literally walk home with it. Assuming that, you're supposed to declare and all that, but we'll worry about that another time. But at the moment, you've got that cash in your hand. So that's fine. So you don't have much overhead. So that's okay. So all we do is just work that through so we can understand exactly what is your business model and how does it all work. And where it gets into really difficult is when you go into retail. or some kind of shop or premises or
Okay.
plant, or you've got big costs. You know,
Yeah.
that's where it gets a little, not complicated, but obviously it becomes a little bit more tricky, because as soon as you factor that in, then it's a whole load of different problems now. So if you now got a hairdresser,
Everything else.
yeah, you got a hairdresser, you might charge £60 to do the hair, but now you got to work out, yeah, but how much was it costing you to sit in that hairdresser for that 2 hours that you did that person's hair? You might say, oh, well, that didn't cost me anything. Sorry, but yes, it did, because if you divide your hours by your rent and rates, lighting and everything, it could cost you X amount per hour just to sit in that building. So if you, so that £60 has got to be minus whatever it's costing you to sit in that building. So if it's costing you, say, £2,000 a month, say 1,000 for rent, 500 for business rates, and then you've got lights and, you know, internet and all that kind of stuff. Just say, for argument's sake, let's say it was even 1,000, just to make it a lower number, because it's only a small space.
Yeah.
So now if you divide that by how many days are you in there, and they might say 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday, right? Okay, so you're there 6 days a week, so that's what, 24 days a month. So if you divide that 24 days by 1,000, you then say, right, how much is that? You know, and it gives them a sense of how much is it costing you per day to be there. Now, how many hours are you there? Oh, I'm there 10 hours a day. Right, good. Okay, so now we have an idea of what we're talking about. When you divide that by the money, you can say it's costing me £10 an hour to sit in this chair. Yeah. So now I know that if I make £50 in an hour, £40 is mine, £10 I have to pay for my overheads. But then here's the next problem. But have you got here, are you doing here 10 hours in that 10 hours? Sometimes it might be quiet. There's nobody in for a few hours. Yeah. Or lunch, you got to go to lunch. All those times you're not earning. So even though you say you work 10 hours, you don't necessarily work 10 hours of paid work. You know, one person's there, you've got a woman under the hairdryer, and it's all a bit quiet for a while. And then another person comes in, you start them, and, you know, you're juggling a bit. So in that 10 hours, you might not be doing like 10 different people of 10 hours a thing. So even though each person is £50, but if you only had 5 clients, you actually didn't make £50 per hour, did you? You only made your £250. So you see how you only made £15 an hour. And you remember we said £10 was the overheads.
Yeah.
But actually, you only earn 5. You're not even on minimum wage.
Oh my gosh.
No,
And that's where people get into get into difficulty, because they think it sounds good because I earned £50 times 5. I had £250 in my pocket, and I put the £250 in my pocket, came home, I could pay my food, I could buy, you know, whatever. But what you're forgetting is that £10 per hour was for your rent and everything else. If you didn't put the money aside, then it looks like you got £250 in your pocket today, £100 tomorrow, £50, blah, blah, blah. But then the week you got 1,000, but you didn't put anything aside. So eventually it's going to come back to burden you when you spend it all. And then you come back at the end and then you realize your light bill's not being paid or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's why we have to do it on a little spreadsheet. I've got a little one that we use all the time. It's just a single page, and I can just help people make a few calculations on a spreadsheet. It works out the costs and that for you. So it gives you a pictorial look of your business in front of you. Like, what would it be in a 12 months? This is your costs. This is your roughly revenue at the top. How much is left over? And that's a simple way of people being able to see what I've just said. Because if people can't see it, they can't kind of visualize it. You can't kind of work out in your head. I don't understand all this, Asari, what you're telling me. So you just put it in a visual way. Here's your costs. Here's your income, what's left. And if you look at your basic bank account, your private bank account, you understand money come in at the month, money going out, how much is left. Everybody understands that basic equation. So if you can show them that on a single sheet over 12 months, they say, oh, right now, sorry, I can get that. This is my costs. This is my money. And so that tells them how much they need to earn.
How does that process, how long is that process? I mean, in terms of, I'm coming to you, Asari, to look at, you know, I'm starting this business. I want to look at, you know, how my finances are going to go before I start this business. How long will that process that you've just described? Because
usually I can do it. Yeah, usually I can do it in the first session, first discussion. I can have a bit of a clue based on what you're telling me. if what you're telling me is accurate, or I can roughly try and work it out with you, because sometimes people don't know exactly. They say, oh, my rates are every quarter, my rent is monthly, this is this, and this is weekly. And you got to kind of work it out. So we're looking at all the same figures. Everything's monthly or a year. So you kind of help people to calculate it. So I write it down and I work it through with them. Does that look right? Yes. Right. Okay. Now, and you kind of work it out with them. And usually you can come up, I can do that within, one session. But what I normally do is if people want a more detailed session, I say, look, we need about 3 hours to really fresh out.
What would that consist of, a detailed session? Because
so a 3-hour session, what I call it a simple business planning session, or it's not that simple, depends how you want to look at it. But 3-hour session, usually what I do with people is we go through those goals at the beginning. So the first half an hour to an hour, we just focus on your goals. What do you want? What's your real vision for this business? Is it something, as I said, you want to build into an empire? Do you want it to have multiple levels? Do you want it to work without you? Do you, what is your thing that you want to do? Are you just a plumber who just wants to be self-employed and one person? Or would you like to employ some plumbers one day and you want to be like the managing director of a plumbing company? Or what is it you're thinking? And then it gives me a sense, oh, okay, so you want to have a plumbing company where by the time I'm 50 or whatever, I don't want to be doing any plumbing anymore, or I want to do less. And I want a team that I'm managing. Right, now I know you need to build a business, not just self-employed. So it's different skills if you're just a plumber who's self-employed, because you don't need to worry about how to manage people and plant and vehicles and all that. If it's just one person, one vehicle, that's simple. So once you tell me you want to grow into something a bit more substantial, then we can look at that. And then what we do is we just go backwards and say, okay, so tell me, that's your 10, 20 years. Where would you like to be in 12 months? Because you can say anything in 10 years. I want to be on the moon. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a billionaire. I want to be anybody can say that, right? Yeah. But when we say, okay, so tell me, what would be success look like to you? If I work with you for the next 12 months, what would you want your business to look like in 12 months time? Is it 1,000 a month, 20,000 a month, 1 million? You tell me what would you like it to look like? And that's when I would challenge them, because if they make it too low, I'll come back to the goals that they told me about and say, well, that doesn't meet your income. So how is that going to work? So and then if they say something very high, I might say, okay, so how do you see yourself earning that? So you might sell, right, I'm going to sell cakes or something, and I'm going to earn 10 grand a month. And I say, fine. So let's work that out then. 10,000 a month. You got to sell 2,500 pounds of cakes a week. How do you see that happening? How many cakes would you have to make to sell that? And then they go, okay, I'd have to sell 200 cakes or 500 cakes or something. And then that's when it might drop to say, can you make 500 cakes a week? Well, not at the moment, because I haven't got the capacity, I haven't got the oven, or I've got work, or this and that. Okay, so you're not going to be able to cook. If you can't make 500, how many do you think you could make? I could only make 10 a week or 5 or whatever. Right. Okay, so how much could you sell them for? Oh, I could sell them for £500 if it's a wedding. Okay, but how many weddings are you going to get? Yeah. You see how we just keep on asking questions? Yeah, just ask questions. Because if you say I can sell a cake for £250 for a wedding or £500 for a wedding, that's fantastic. But when I then say, how many weddings do you think you can sell to in a month? Do you think you can literally do like 2 or 3 weddings a month, 10 weddings a month? And if they say, oh, yeah, I could do 10 weddings a month, I say, okay, so how are you going to get 10 people getting married to tell you every month they're going to use you? You're going to have to do some serious marketing to get 10, because people don't just give away their money just like that. How are they going to find you? Why would they use you? Who's going to do the marketing? Who's going to do the tasting? People don't just give away £500 just like that. So you might have to do a little taster for them. You might have to go around their house. You might have to have a little website. So you got to think all those things through. And if they say to me, oh, no, sorry, I'm working full time, I ain't got time for all that. Then I say, okay, so how is this going to work? So you just keep asking questions to get those questions. Understanding of what's possible.
So what I would ask you, that's really good, is anybody that would be watching this at any point in time, if they are already in business, would you say, you know, what you do and how you help people, businesses, would you say it is something that any existing businesses should revise again and come to you possibly to have a look at to make sure that they're on the right path?
We would say every business should have a coach. Let's put it another way. There's two things. One, I have a coach and I pay for my coach. So I have a coach every week. I get coached, one in a group, one in one-to-one. So I work with some other coaches that are similar to me, and then I do one privately just on my own. So I get coached every week. So there's no point in me saying I believe in coaching, but I don't have a coach. So I have a coach and I pay for that coach. They're an action coach, but they advise me, support me, hold me to account. Now, so the other sorry, I've forgotten what's the other part of the question?
Yeah, no, do existing businesses, do you think it's being, you know, having a coach advise and show them how they're going with their business? Do you think it's something that they should be doing?
Absolutely. And I give this analogy. Who uses a coach in sport?
Every sports person.
Every successful sports person, not every sports person, every successful top person in sport has a coach, right? So tell me this, if you're Bolt and you're the fastest man in the world, a multi-millionaire, and who can tell him more about running? A coach. There's still a coach who can say, Bolt, I don't care if you're the fastest man on earth, you're still lazy and you need to run more, or you need to do more press ups, or you need to have a better diet, or you need to get up early in the morning, you need to do. So the point I'm making is, however much you know about your technical subject, that's not what your coach is there to do. Your coach isn't there to tell Bolt how to run, as in just how to run fast. It's there how to coach him, how to improve his technique, how to observe him, give him feedback, motivate him, encourage him, and maybe give him some tricks and some techniques to advance his sport. And don't matter how good you are at tennis or whatever the sport is, you still can't watch yourself. You see, you can get a video, but we all know, have you ever written a letter or written an email and you checked it over 3 times, you sent it to the person and you still got the same spelling mistake and you still forgot something in the email. But if somebody looked at it for you, they'll say, but hang on, Lorraine, this email, you've got there's a typo here, or you sent this wrong, or you didn't send the attachment. How many people do that? Send an email. Where's the attachment? Oh, sorry, I forgot the attachment. So the point, when you monitor yourself, you let yourself off a lot because you give excuses. It's like being on a diet. If you're on a diet, you just look in the mirror. Oh, yeah, look like I'm losing weight. You're just deluding yourself. There's no accountability. But if you go to Weight Watchers, or you have a personal trainer who says, right, Hugh, tomorrow morning, 6:30, meet me at the gym every Tuesday, every Thursday, you're more likely to do it. But you see, when it gets cold and it's raining and that, and you're thinking, oh, I've had a bit of a late night and whatever, 6:30 in the morning is not looking that good. But the problem is, your coach is going to ring you. Hugh, where are you? Get your butt over here.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So
but
basically,
when you've got no coach, you just let yourself off.
Do what you want. So accountability. So
Massive.
for even if a business is successful or existing and doing okay, it is still best practice then for them to
Absolutely.
Oh wow.
So how
that's good.
How many, in terms of accountability, how frequently would you get this new person to, you know, meet with you as a coach? How frequently would you say that?
Ideally weekly, but some people say it's a little bit expensive for me, or I can't quite afford weekly, so can I see you once a month or something like that? Generally, if you're in a group program, some of us changed our group program. So I've changed all my group programs to weekly. So when we were before lockdown, I used to do it in a hotel. So we would have a hotel a couple of nights every month. So it'd be every couple of weeks, and it'd be like 2-3 hours in the hotel. I would give you some education, some coaching, and you walk away with your documents and what you need to do and everything, and you're good to go. The problem with that was, when we had lockdown, 3 hours on Zoom for some people is a bit testing. So what I realized is that actually weekly is better. And also people got confused. What week is it? because if it's twice a month, people get confused. Is it the second Tuesday and the fourth Tuesday, or is it the? And they're getting confused where the week is. So I realized that actually, if you just said every Tuesday, you don't even have to think. Every Tuesday, 9 o'clock, let's just do it. Now you're clear. It's every Tuesday. It's not but this week and then not next week. They get confused. And also, if they missed one, you've then missed a whole lot of stuff, and then you only got one in the month. So having it weekly, if you miss one, I can record it because it's all on Zoom. So I can record it and send them a copy so they can have a look at them in their own time. So generally, I would encourage people to do weekly, even if it's in a group, because weekly just gives you that extra accountability. How many people would do the gym and do, just come and see me once a month? You've got to be very, very disciplined to do stuff on your own for a whole month with nobody helping you at all.
Those are the good old days. Those are the good old days. So let me ask you now about yourself now in terms of the training. Who have you trained, and under the auspices of your business of what you are doing as action coach? Who have you trained so people can understand the level in which you've been training people?
Yeah, it can be, as I said, from people and it's not just this work I do. I work with some multinationals. I've done coaching for executives. I've done coachings at all different levels. So, but most businesses are privately owned. Somebody like a director or a managing director runs their own business, whether it's multi-million-pound or just a few £1,000s, at all different levels. That's who I coach, and I coach them through. You see, people say, "Oh yeah, but it's completely different, Asari." And I say, "Well, there's generally two levels. Either you're self-employed as an individual, or you have staff and a building or vehicles or something like that. That's generally. After that, the size is just a matter of repetition.
Okay.
So even if you're running Tesco, your operation is just on a vastly bigger scale, but the issues are very similar. But obviously, massive multi-billion-pound is a different level. But even if you're running a £1 million operation, the difference between 1 million and 250,000 is not huge, because you still got staff, you got an office or a retail outlet. It's just that you might have more staff in the £1 million one than you do in the 250,000 one, and you've got a little bit more to manage with the stock and vans and different things like that. But effectively, the chassis of a business is the same. You need to get customers. You need to charge those customers. You need to get them to come back regularly or get new ones. You need to keep that. You need to make a profit on whatever it is you're selling. And that core structure is in every business. So it almost doesn't matter what your business is. The core structure is still the same. So you still have the same process. You just have, it might be just a different scale of doing it.
Okay, so from that aspect, I'm going to go slightly askew from where I first started. When we spoke about the need to develop Black-owned businesses, because from our conversations, and I hope that you don't mind me saying so, there was a feeling that Black-owned businesses, you weren't getting a lot of traction with that. So we spoke about redressing that and supporting our own. Do you feel that that is an area that is still required? Is it more required? What's the situation?
100%, yeah. And the thing is, I would say it's not just Black businesses, it's everybody. But because obviously a part of the community, I want to help Black businesses as well.
Yeah.
Because what I find is, we got to understand is 80% of businesses don't work. 80% of businesses fail within 5 years. So
businesses in a whole, or
No, within
Yeah.
5 years.
as a whole, this is not Black businesses. As a whole, 80% of businesses don't work.
Okay.
And they're not still there in 5 years' time. They've not worked, they've not made a profit, or they've just gone out of business.
Yeah.
And that's the same in the United States as it is here. So you could say, oh yeah, but it's different in the US. No, 80% of businesses don't work. So that means out of every 100 people who start a business, in 5 years' time, 80 of them will not be functioning anymore. So what that tells you is that the success rate is low because there's a lack of education, a lack of information, a lack of support for business owners. So when we say the Black community now, the Black community has some added pressures, which is many of people, particularly African Caribbean people, we don't have a big background in business, because if you look at the history of our countries, if you migrated from Nigeria, Ghana, Jamaica, Dominica, whatever in the 1950s. That's when most of our people came over, 50s, 60s, 70s, that kind of period. Most of the influx came over. Most of the people who came were not business owners. They were laborers. They were people coming to drive the bus, to work in the factories, nurses, etc. Even if they were quite skilled, but that was what Britain asked for. They wanted people to come over to do that. People weren't coming over here who were tailors, you know, retails and all that. It's a totally different. See, when we compare ourselves to, say, the Asian community, you can't make that comparison, or even the Jewish community, because people who fled Europe as Jews to come to Britain, there was a long history of Jewish business owners. So it's not all Jews, of course, are in business. Not all Asian people are in business, but a significant portion were, and therefore have that knowledge, and therefore they're a bit of mentors, or kind of like, you know, it's kind of like having somebody symbolize, somebody looks like you that's done it before. And similar, India and Pakistan, most of the people who came over were like us from the Caribbean, but the difference was the people in places like Kenya, Uganda, were the Asian people who came from those places who migrated here predominantly were business owners. So they came with business acumen and business knowledge. So even if you came over here with nothing or very little money, but if you've got the knowledge of running a business, you can build another one. When most of our parents, my parents came here from the Caribbean, and they had no business knowledge. Nobody in their family had a business. So they had no business acumen, and they didn't even think of running a business. That's most of our parents' generation didn't think, oh, I'm going to start a business. What happened is some people did, but there's relatively small number.
Very minute.
And most of it was, you know, a bit of food. Let me do a little bit of hair. There was things that were unique to our community, because who would get your hair done other than your own people? So nobody else knew how to do our hair. So then you do a little thing in your house. But even I remember my mum getting her hair done in somebody's home. It was only later that they had a shop. But at first it was in their bedroom or in their living room, isn't it? Because that's how they kind of built it up. And then maybe when they got bigger, they got up to an actual retail outlet. And similarly with the food. So we don't have that history, and it's beginning to develop now, because now the second generation have become lawyers, surveyors, you know, accountants, professionals, plumbers, different trades. So so a lot more people have thought, you know what, I don't want to be a lawyer working for you forever. Let me set up my own little law firm. Or I'm a plumber. I've been a plumber for 10, 20 years now. I'm fed up of working for somebody else. Let me go and set my own thing. So now you find a lot more Black people have their own businesses. But because we're not in retail, we're not very massive in retail. We've got a lot of what we call invisible businesses. So all the professions, accountants and lawyers and all those type of jobs, they're not visible to the community unless you need one. You wouldn't know that exists. It's not like the historic, when we were growing up, all the shops, like there was a lot of shops with Asian shopkeepers. So it was very visible that they were in business. But that's not the case with us so much.
That's why this group was created and this business was created, because we wanted to improve the visibility of Black-owned businesses. We're not saying to people, we're not saying to people that, you know, you should only buy Black. What we're saying to people is you should know where there are Black businesses that you can choose from. You can make informed choices, because, you know, as you rightly say, we have businesses that are invisible. And unless we start making them visible by all of us, you know, I mean, when we talk about our cousins saying to you, you would ask them, oh, I want to get some food. They'll send you to their neighborhood for their shops. And we need to learn that, to say, look, there's a Caribbean shop selling this. So we actually need to network with all our businesses so that we can just at an instant say, oh, if you want to get the food over there, you go and get you. If you want to get your hair over there. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm massive on networking, and the networking needs to go beyond that, not just consumers, but business to business, because I'm in what called BNI, Business Networking International. I've been doing that for 10 years. And our whole approach is to encourage and help each other get recommendations or introductions to people. So if I know a lawyer who's a family lawyer, and somebody says, look, I do wills, can you connect me with a family lawyer who deals with divorce or conveyance or whatever? I can say, right, yeah, I know 2 of those. Let me bring them up, see if they'd be interested in taking your call. If they say yes, then they do it. So we can develop that in the Black community as well, where we get used to introducing people through recommendation, but not just through recommendation for consumption, but recommendation to do business with different types of businesses. Business to business as well as business to consumer. Because everybody says, oh, do you know a plumber? Or do you know a whatever? You know, because if you're doing something around the house, most people need an electrician or something at some point. But when it comes to a lawyer or something a little bit more unusual,
or anything,
then people are not so clear, like, who would I go to? Because most people, unless you're rich, you don't have a lawyer, do you? You don't have a lawyer like on standby unless you're rich. So most people have only used a lawyer when something happened, and then you don't know where to go. So similar thing.
I mean, we have a number of people in the construction industry now, and the question is, do we know any construction businesses that, you know, we can forward to other people? So it is, as you rightly say, we need to start networking and opening businesses to businesses so they can work together, provide us with something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you know, what you're doing there, Asari, is, you know, obviously really very good indeed, and it is what we are now. Needed. You know what I mean? Clicking onto people's ears are more attuned now with this is what they need to do if they want to get, you know, have a successful business that is a legacy. But having said that, would you say, I mean, I read something today, I think I told you yesterday, there was an article saying the shortages of areas that needs to be covered. All right. And they listed them. And I just thought to myself, this is amazing. This is where we need to get together and say, you know what? They need our business. They're short of drivers. They're short of, you know, nurses.
Absolutely.
Right. We have that capacity for care homes and staff or whatever to have businesses made from that, where we can purchase a business, you know, a place and put ourselves up as a business. Do you know what I mean? Because people are crying out for that.
But there's a lot of people doing it too.
And build your Black business from there. They've literally listed these are the
all the businesses that require support and staff and everything. And the whole thing, when I looked at it, it was like, okay, for me, it was just, it's not just about my business I want to create. Why don't I get some people together and then us work together to create and fill that void? You know,
and that's where you would be able to come in, because that's the, as you said, the mindset is where it, you know, needs to change and identify the things that you said. Okay, if you were to go into the care home industry, right? What would you need to do? What, you know, why do you want to do that?
Go through the process.
And go through the process.
And I've done business plans for loads of people on this sort of stuff. Business plans where we've done a research and we do the business plan to understand the industry. Where's the profit in it? What's the growth? What is the, you know, what opportunities do we see? And put that in a business plan to help that person so they can get a sense of how can we make this work and a cash flow strategy to go with it. So the thing is with business is it's a science. There's some core principles in business that you can learn. And I don't accept anybody who tells me I'm from the school of hard knocks. That's a load of nonsense. What a stupid way to do things. Because think about it this way. What would you tell your children? Would you, if you were successful in business, would you tell your children, just go out there and do your thing and just learn through life? Why would anybody teach you that? That's a mad way of doing anything. What, you know, if you're going to build a house, you wouldn't say, just get some bricks and just get some cement and just do your best and then
try a
thing. Yeah, just work it out as you're going along. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
And I don't accept that at all. I think the hardest way to learn anything is for experience, because experience may happen, it may not happen. But how much is that costing you? The most expensive way to learn something is through experience. It's much cheaper to learn the fundamentals of business, how to do marketing, how to do a marketing strategy, how to do sales, developing cash flow. To learn the basics of business is much cheaper than spending the next 10, 20 years on your good hard-earned money, remortgage your house and do all that, to learn that you messed up and your businesses failed and all those things went wrong, when a lot of those things you could have learned from the beginning because they're predictable. So why learn through hard work? And the easiest way to burn your money is to start a business without a strategy. Because if you really want to throw money down the toilet, win the lottery. Try this: win the lottery, go and buy a business, and before 5 years, you could have burnt all that money away. Do people remember Jamie Oliver? Jamie Oliver shut down a number of his shops, his restaurants. He admitted, I researched it and looked at it, and he did an interview where he said, basically, I didn't really know I don't know enough about business to how to run a business. And Jamie Oliver is a multi-million-pound business. But you see, the difference between being a chef on TV and doing a book is totally different to running a restaurant, because the skills he needs to run a restaurant are not cooking.
Yes.
The skills he needs to run a restaurant is the management, the cash flow, the marketing, getting the mix right. That it's a lot of other business things. And he admitted that it wasn't one of his strengths. So he's run this thing. Even Ramsey. Ramsey's another millionaire, multi-millionaire. Nobody could doubt Ramsey's a very good cook. But he still shut down restaurants. Why? Because it's not his cooking that was the fundamental problem. The most successful restaurant in the world has no chef. McDonald's. So it's not the quality of the food, it's the ability to market and resell. And McDonald's is the most successful restaurant in the world, not because the food's good, but because their marketing and sales is phenomenal. And they know how to get repeat custom. So the restaurant is not just about my food is good. Your food doesn't even have to be great. Your food just has to be good enough for a market. And if people don't believe me, look at a chicken and chip shop.
Yeah.
You know, I know of a chicken and chip shop does nearly £1 million a year selling chicken and chips. Your restaurant is next door with all the lovely food you want to sell. But how much are you making? You're not making £1 million a year because you haven't got the volume coming into your restaurant to make the money. So therefore, it's not about how skillful you are at cooking. It's how your business acumen is. So I could be opening my 5th chicken shop and you're still running your 1 restaurant, still struggling. And I may not even be working in any of the restaurants. Why? Because it's simple, because it's chicken and chips. So I can get somebody on relatively low pay to run every single one for me. And I'm in the Bahamas running these 5 restaurants by remote control. But if you're a great chef, you're stuck chained to the sink, chained to the cooker, right? Every day of the week, 7 days a week.
So it's, I mean, that is powerful again, what you said there. And I suppose there are people that would watch this or any other that would say, oh, it's the same thing again. You know, I keep hearing, I keep seeing, you know, got to learn about marketing, got to do a business plan. And really and truly, for, you know, you couldn't have said it clearer. If you want to be successful, you learn those basics, your marketing, a business strategy, a vision. And once you've got those core principles, I mean, just out of interest, what would you say, how many core principles are there? Would you say that somebody who is an entrepreneur or even is in business right now as we're speaking and thinking how they're going to switch things around?
Principles that you need to learn?
How many core principles in your mind do you think?
Yeah, maybe about 5 or 6 core things you need to learn. Like, and the thing is, I'll just say, before I say the 5 or 6 things, I'll just say that a lot of people in business who are successful don't know why. And you might find me strange by saying this, but sometimes people get lucky or they just hit the right place at the right time. It's not because they're particularly knowledgeable about business, but you've just hit the nail at the right time. It's a bit like some people have £1 million worth of property, not because they know property or they were some kind of real estate magnate or anything like that. It's just that you bought a house in Hackney in 1965, right? And then in 2005, you sold it for £1 million.
Yes.
That doesn't make you a property genius or a knowledgeable investor. It's just fortune that timing went in your favor. And sometimes people's timing is right. I'm not saying there isn't geniuses and great entrepreneurs, but most businesses who are successful, a lot of them is through hard work and putting in the graft. But some of them, you just get fortunate. It's just that you're in the right place at the right time and you make really good money. But if you had to replicate it, you can't. You don't know how to replicate. Some people don't know how to articulate it. And the proof of this is where you see these wealthy entrepreneurs Listen to some of their speeches. Some of them are a lot of waffle. They're all over the place. They're successful, but they can't. It's a bit like a footballer. You could be a footballer who's earned millions, but if I put you on an interview and said, how did you do it? They can't systematically tell you how they did it. They were just good, and they just trained, and they had the right people around them, and they just became a multi-million pound footballer. But it doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean you could explain how to be a successful footballer, because you might not have the knowledge and the technical knowledge of how to explain how to do it, because you're just gifted, or you just were trained hard, or whatever. So the 6 fundamental things I would name, first of all, as I said, is those mastery, destination, just having clarity about where you want to be, where do you want to go, and a little bit of maybe reading just to get some ideas about what does that look like, because some people need just a little bit of help what that looks like. Then how do you manage your time? And that's just about how do you plan each day, so you actually do business owners work for part of each day. Yes, you might not be able to do it all day, but sometime during the week you're doing business owner. And what I mean by business owner work is the marketing, the planning, the building side of it, not just cutting hair, not just cooking food, because there's no business planning in cooking food. You're just cooking, so there's no plan long term. Then the next one is consistency. You don't have to be great, you just have to be consistent. And as long as you can find people who want you consistently, that's good enough. You don't have to be the best, you don't have to be anything that special, you just have to be good enough. Like, if you ask most people, where do you buy your Caribbean food from? Most people buy it from the local place. So even if it's not the best, how many people will travel another 10, 15 miles to get the best when it's not practical? So I live in Chingford. Am I going to drive to Brixton to get my dinner? It's not that practical to drive all the way to Brixton just to get dinner when it's going to take me 1 hour to get there, 1 hour back. That's not practical. So you then go to what's local, and therefore it's good enough. So as long as you're good enough and you're consistent, that when I go, I know I'm going to get the same food in the same quality, in the same way. Even if it's not brilliant, but at least I know that's what it is. Right? That's McDonald's. And then the fourth one is finances. Just know a little bit about your numbers, just a little bit about cash flow, a little bit about your numbers, and that will help you. And then the second level up from that is, we call it niche. It's just understanding your marketing and sales. So that's why I would call them 5 and 6. Marketing and sales. How do you do your marketing, which is what we call lead generation? And what's your sales process, which is how do you actually convert to a sale? And that's the fundamentals of business. Everything else is then the bells and whistles, the systems, franchising, bringing in IT, technology, staff, and all that. That's the additional. But the fundamentals are those 5 or 6 things.
That's brilliant. I'll tell you, for everyone that they can't get any better understanding of where they need to start.
It's a straightforward and simple, but it is about
just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, it's about finding someone who can actually provide that level of support and that business acumen to actually say, look, sit down, let us do this, and let us coordinate how we manage to make this business go forward. Because, I would say that for myself, it would be a question of, okay, I have a dream. And, it's not a reality until I'm sitting down with someone to say, okay, this is where you need to turn your dream into reality. These are the objects that you need to go around and facilitate how you make this thing work. And when we talk about business and we talk about supporting business, we're actually talking about someone like yourself who, and ladies and gentlemen, Asari has stated that he will work with us at Black Business Recommendation to give that kind of training from his experience. And I just lapped it up. The moment he said yes, I put my hand up. So yes, come to Black Business Recommendation, because we need people like him with the knowledge and the experience. And the good thing is that Asari is a man of principle, and so the mere fact that he wants to work with us to support,
to help and support you,
to support your businesses,
and start with their business.
Absolutely.
And I think we need to get away from thinking, oh, everything is so long. Oh, why have I got to do a vision? Why have I got to do a plan? And I think that kind of puts a lot of people off. but you stated the absolute importance of this.
Absolutely.
Because it gives their business longevity. So,
Well, I'll tell you what's really boring, right? Being broke.
Hello.
There's nothing
There
more
it is.
boring. There's nothing more
Right.
boring than being broke. You know, if you want stress
Yeah.
in your life and you want hassle, do it the hard way. Just do it, and just do anything, you know, whatever, and just do it any old thing, you know. You know, and Morris is on. Thank you, Morris. He said it's not taught in schools. No, it's not. It's one of the things we want to go into schools and teach it in schools, because people need to learn this stuff. And by the way, if you want to contact me, because that actioncoach.com, that's the global website. By the way, Action Coach, just so you know, Action Coach is the #1 coaching franchise in the world. We're the #1 in the UK. We're the #1 globally. So we know we're in 80 countries around the world. You can find Action Coach in Jamaica. You can find Action Coach around the world. So we're literally in 80 countries. So we know what we're talking about. And we've been around for nearly 30 years. So I've just done 10, but we've been around for nearly 30 years. So so if they want to find me, the best way to find me is Google my name, Asari St Hill, and you'll find my Action Coach site on there. So if you do actioncoach.co.uk / my name, then you'll get me directly. But if you Google my name, because it's unusual, you'll find me anyway. It's quite a
actioncoach.co.uk,
/ and just my name with no dots, and that will take you straight to my website. And if you go onto the events page, you'll see free webinars, you'll see my coaching some of my coaching programs, and some of the stuff I put on as well.
I'm putting that up now. So www.actioncoach.co.uk /
So St Hill, no dash. Straight.
That's it.
Cool. All right.
That's it. If you Google that, you'll find me straight away. As I said, my name's a bit unusual, so even if you just put my name, it'll come up #1 in Google straight away.
There you go.
If my name was John Smith, it might be a bit more tricky, but luckily,
that's a straightforward one you can actually get through. So, in terms of about yourself now, recently, you got yourself an award, and you actually opened up your own offices.
Absolutely. A number of things happened in lockdown. Yeah, well, it's some good things. In lockdown, I hit my 10 years in Action Coach. I made a breakthrough in my coaching business. You know, I became hitting a 6-figure coach, and also, you know, opening an office as well. So yeah, it's all good. Myself and my wife, we decided that, you know what, we talked about it for a while, and we said, can we really scale and build a business? We teach this stuff, but if you work from home, there's nothing wrong with working from home. I could still continue to working from home, but I wanted to get to the stage where we could build a business that works without us. So what we're building now is, my wife's in the office as well. She's got her own business around conference director, and she does a yoga business as well. She's got dynamic yoga and the conference director businesses. So she runs those, and she loves doing conferences and events in Africa, which is a part of our passion. And then I do my coaching business and training. I do a lot of training around equality and diversity as well. So I do a lot of stuff around that as well. So that's how I get to go into all these corporates and some of these big companies, colleges and stuff like that. But you it's not taught in school, this stuff. We need to teach the children about business. My son is doing he's doing A-levels, and he's doing business economics and history, and he loves some of this stuff because he can learn from what it's truly like in business. And my other son's working in my office. He's doing marketing for us. And we want to build a marketing machine so we can actually do marketing for businesses, not just for me and my wife, but for other people's businesses.
Others,
Indeed.
So we basically, as a group, we need to tell people, listen, you people who are out there looking for the right people to support you and train you.
We have them.
They're here. And
Absolutely.
you can go to Pat Business Recommendation, and you can go onto our network group, and you will find Asari's training that we were going to put there for you, so that all you have to do is log in and get yourself trained up. And better to do it as a group as well.
Absolutely. I'll send you some links to the couple I'm doing in September. I'm doing one on the 14th. It's Buying Customers. It's called Buying Customers, which is based on the book that Brad Sugars, the multimillionaire, wrote, Buying Customers. And Brad owns Action Coach. So he's the multimillionaire behind Action Coach, and he wrote the book Buying Customers. So he's taught us all this stuff that we know. He's taught us this over the years. So he's got a global, he runs about 11 businesses Action Coach is just one of his businesses.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's brilliant. So we can, once we put all the information in regards to that, we will share that with everyone. And as I say, it's better to learn in numbers as well. But again, you have made it quite clear, and I think we can't say enough that you have stated that we need to get on board with getting the basics right in terms of if we want to start a business, and the core principles you shared with us. And trust me, there's much more than that. But
You can't get it all, because guess what? The man is there.
Exactly.
He's prepared to train you, and you
Yeah.
now get it all for free, because we live in a society in which everybody thinks that you can get things for free.
No.
And it's really about, you have to see about the man's worth. Yeah, he's done the training and he's prepared to train you. So all you have to do, get in touch with him. We've
And
given
he's
you the
successful in
contact.
his own right as
Yeah.
well. Okay, so you're getting the best knowledge available from a gentleman that is experienced and is qualified and knows what he's talking about. Okay, so
And we have a little bit of fun whilst we're doing it as well.
There you go.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think too many people think that business is just long face. Yeah, to be perfectly honest, if you can't enjoy what you're doing, why are you doing it?
Exactly. You might as well have a bit of fun whilst we're learning, and we can show some ironies. We get jokes, and it's very relaxed. My sessions, you'll see what my sessions are like. They're very relaxed. So yeah, it'd be good to see people on it, and we'll do some work and put on some specific webinars just specifically for people who on Black Recommends. So that would be really good to put something on specific. We can do a whole program. Now people should be kind of back from holidays and ready for the winter, so it's a good time to run some programs now, September, October, through to Christmas, and let people know what, how to run their businesses, how to improve it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Can't say any more than that.
Sir, thank you very much, Asari. It's
my pleasure.
Pleasure. Yeah, I would just like to say to you, if you were going to say to anyone, word of advice to anyone who is thinking about business, what's the first thing? What would you say to them?
The first thing I would say is know where you want to get to. Because even if I say get a coach, if you get a coach, one of the first things they're going to say is, what do you want to achieve? So at least do a little bit of homework on what would you like to achieve? What sort of money would you like to earn? Just give some, even if you just pencil that down with yourself and your partner or your wife, your husband, just spend a little bit of time just working out what you want to do. And then you can approach somebody like myself, a coach. But there's loads of work. This is one of the books we recommend. This is, again, one of our books. See, Brad Sugar's the owner of it, Instant Cash Flow. This gives you the fundamentals of certain things to just understand in starting a business or getting a business going. And even if you've been in business for years, the stuff in this book, the 5 ways formula and stuff, most business owners, even if you've got multi-million pound, you've never seen the 5 ways formula. So there's still stuff you can be learning, even though you've been in business years. We still can teach people so much stuff of the science of business. And this is somebody who's a multi-millionaire who's already done it. He's actually got a program called Billionaire in Training.
Whoa.
And one of his books is actually called Billionaire in Training as well. So,
whoa. So you know what? We really have got to get on with this. And Asari, in all honesty, we need to get this together. People, we are going to put out a freebie for you so you can get a flavor of how Asari shows you, teaches you about business. And then there'll be the specialisms, which is going to cost. But guess what? If you want to be a specialist, if you want to be the best of who you are, first of all, you've got to get yourself educated to the level to receive. Yeah, because you've got to be prepared to receive. So that's the first thing we're going to say. Let's start our process of learning and being prepared to receive. Asari, it's been a wonderful evening speaking to you.
Pleasure's mine too. Thank you very much. And thanks for all those nice comments people have been making on the chat. I've seen them on Facebook and that, so that's really nice.
You will get more.
You will get more because they, you know how it is. Everybody, some people are doing some things and others are doing others, and then later on in their spare time, they say, "Oh yeah, let me look at that." Yeah. And as you say, we do this every Monday at 8 p.m.
Consistency.
So consistency. They know where we are, so they may get on with other things, but they'll come back to have a look at what was said and what was done.
Brilliant. Because people can watch it on recording, isn't it? They can watch the follow-up.
It's on our YouTube channel, and also as well it'll be pinned in the announcement section within the Facebook group. If you are a member, and if you're not a member
Just
that business recommendation. Why not? Okay.
Yes.
So do
Why
Yeah,
not?
come and check us out. Come and check them out. Yeah.
do come and check us out, and you will find wonderful, wonderful, talented, qualified, wonderful people
Trainers
and
who are there for
who
you.
are there for you to
Brilliant.
help you. And
Can I
your
just say
business.
one thing before I go?
You
If
can indeed.
anybody who's watching this wants a complimentary coaching session, contact me. You can contact me directly on my website or through my Facebook or through LinkedIn, whichever method is easier for you. I'm on LinkedIn, don't put it on Instagram because I don't really look at it. But if you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, or just directly to my contact details, if you want a complimentary coaching session, we'll get something in the diary and get you sorted.
Yes.
But you got to have a business though. If it's just a business idea, then we can have a chat about that. But it's not really a coaching session. It's really a coaching session if you have a business.
Okay. So people, you've heard it. And I'll say to you now, Asari, thank you so much. And we're going to be closing down. But for the moment, I'll say to you all that next week we are speaking to Julian Hall of Ultra Education. Now, this man has done wonderful things for our young people. And we need to actively encourage our young people, just as Asari has got his young men into his business, right? The same way we should take hold of our young people and get them involved in business. So until next week,
have a wonderful week.
We'll see you all.
Asari, thank you again.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye, everyone. Have a good
Bye.
Bye-bye.